is coming from Uttarakhand today, where the Uniform Civil Code has been tabled for that state. Is this a blueprint for the rest of India? Is this an idea whose time has come? That's the question that we are going to pose. Top lawyers will join me in a moment on our big talking point. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Uttarakhand becomes the first state to table a uniform civil code bill. This after the Pushkar Dhami cabinet gives nod to the final draft on the 4th of February. Victory for the Ajit Pawar faction in Maharashtra. Election Commission rules he is the real NCP, gives him the party name and clock symbol Sharad Pawar to suggest a new name for his party. A big setback for the India bloc. As per sources, BJP and the Rashtriya Lok Dal of Jayant Chaudhary looking for an alliance in Uttar Pradesh. BJP offers the Jat-dominated party 4 seats in Western UP. It's ED versus Aam Aadmi Party in the national capital. ED conducts fresh raids. Kejriwal's PA, ex-Delhi Jal Board official raided by the ED. Rajya Sabha session to be extended by Parliament session to be extended by 1 day. Finance Minister Sitaraman likely to bring a white paper on the UPA's alleged financial mess. Massive centre versus south fight further escalates. 3 opposition-ruled southern states claim centre's fund bias. Centre rejects charge. Massive ruckus breaks out between DMK and BJP. Big fire at a firecracker factory in Harda in Madhya Pradesh. The Madhya Pradesh CM confirms to India today that 11 people have died, over 150 people injured in the incident. Committed to building impenetrable border, Centre decides to construct a fence along the entire 1,643-kilometre long Indo-Myanmar border to facilitate better surveillance. Hrithik Roshan and Deepika Padukone star of Fighter faces trouble. An IAF officer slams a legal notice against the film over a kissing scene wearing the IAF uniform. But the story that we are breaking tonight, double setback for the opposition India bloc. Things have only got worse today because the Election Commission has ruled that the Ajit Pawar faction in Maharashtra is the real NCP. So the Sharad Pawar faction losing out in the battle there in Maharashtra. The second setback has come in Uttar Pradesh, where sources say the BJP is exploring an alliance with the Rashtriya Lok Dal of Jayant Chaudhary, the son of the late Ajit Singh. Sources saying BJP now offering 4 seats to the RLD in Uttar Pradesh. So 2 setbacks, both in Uttar Pradesh, where one of the India allies is now negotiating with the BJP after his alliance with the Samajwadi Party seems to be falling apart. And in Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar gets the party symbol, the clock. The clock ticking for the India alliance and for Sharad Pawar. That's the message that's coming out at the moment. Let's go straight across to our correspondent, Sahil Joshi. Our Mumbai bureau chief is in Mumbai. Preeti Chaudhary, our senior editor, is here in Delhi. I want to come to you, Sahil, first, because that's a big setback for Sharad Pawar, losing the party symbol and being told that the very party he founded, he will have to find a new name for it. What does this mean in the immediate future for the elections in Maharashtra?
Well, Sharad Pawar was completely expecting such kind of order. So I clearly remember on 6th of July when he was addressing his party workers in Mumbai, immediately after Ajit Pawar and his supporters rebelled against Sharad Pawar's leadership and took oath in Shiv Sena BJP government. He made it very clear to his workers that, listen, I have fought on 5 elections earlier, 5 different symbols and different party names earlier. So maybe this time it will be the 6th one. So just be ready for that. And it doesn't matter on which symbol you will fight election, but what matters is basically how you do your politics. So that's what he was very clear about this in mind. But yes, definitely it is going to be beneficial for Ajit Pawar per se, because Ajit Pawar wanted to form its party. Many people who might be fence-sitters at this point of time may jump in with Ajit Pawar in Maharashtra. Secondly, it gives a boost for Ajit Pawar faction to say that in his fight in Maharashtra Assembly, when the Speaker is by 15th of February had to decide about the disqualification petitions filed by the Sharad Pawar fraction. On that, Ajit Pawar will definitely going to get an edge on it, because in Election Commission's order, Election Commission has kind of accepted that Ajit Pawar took over the party before joining hands with Shiv Sena and the BJP government in Maharashtra. So, it is like a breather for him. Rahul Narvekar, of course, the Maharashtra Assembly Speaker, also gets a breather, because now he has Election Commission's order in his hand, which he can refer to while deciding the disqualification petitions. So it's a good game for Ajit Pawar.
You're saying
and of course,
advantage,
the ruling BJP and Mahayuti.
You're saying clear advantage to Ajit Pawar, both in terms of perception, both in terms of the reality on the ground. But Preeti Chaudhary, you've got the RLD, the Rashtriya Lok Dal, possibly now getting 4, maybe 5 seats in Uttar Pradesh. What does that mean for the politics of Uttar Pradesh? The RLD had been given earlier 7 seats by the Samajwadi Party. What is the political logic now of the BJP tying up with Jayant Chaudhary?
Well, Rajdeep, it does mean that Jayant Chaudhary, who's a Rajya Sabha MP through the Samajwadi Party, is going to be the next, in all probability, to walk out of the India Alliance and walk into the NDA. Now, what I am getting to understand through my sources, that 4 seats, the seat of Kairana, Amroha, Bagpat, Mathura, are the ones that have been offered to the RLD, and in all probability an alliance with the BJP and the RLD will be inked on these 4 seats. I'll also tell you more. Now, officially, what is the reason that the RLD has decided to walk out, or at least what my sources say, contemplating to walk out of the alliance with India, is because the seat sharing talks with Samajwadi Party didn't go down too well. The 7 seats that you spoke of, Rajdeep, out of them, Muzaffarnagar, Kairana, Bijnor were 3 seats where the Samajwadi Party wanted their candidate to fight on the handpump symbol of the RLD. So technically it would have meant that only 4 seats going to the RLD. That would be the official reason, possibly, that would be given out, and the reason why RLD would walk out of that alliance. What it means, Rajdeep, is quite a bit. If you do look at the history of Uttar Pradesh, Lok Sabha election after Lok Sabha election, the BJP is only strengthening itself in the, in western Uttar Pradesh, and the RLD, the Jat vote, very strong in that area. Now, if this alliance works out, shifts back to the BJP.
Right. So clearly the BJP fortifying itself even further. The strategy seems to be clear. Pick up as many discontented allies, or allies who can bring you incremental votes. There you've got the RLD, and we saw that 6 months ago in Maharashtra, bringing Ajit Pawar on the side. The BJP clearly now looking more and more dominant and assertive. Preeti Chaudhary and Sahil Joshi, thank you very much for joining us. On the other hand, the India Alliance seems to be splitting apart. Okay, let's turn from there to our other big top story of the day. In a sense, a slice of history was created in Uttarakhand today when Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami tabled the Uniform Civil Code Bill in the State Assembly. Other than that, it seeks to govern and regulate the laws also related to marriage, divorce, succession for all communities. It also is legislating and addressing live-in relationships, which may have to be registered now in Uttarakhand. Is what Uttarakhand thinks today what India, especially the BJP-ruled states, will think tomorrow? It's our top focus.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं आपकी अनुज्ञा से समान नागरिक संहिता उत्तराखंड विधेयक 2024 को प्रस्तावित करने हेतु सदन की अनुज्ञा चाहता हूँ.
Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami tabled the state's proposed Uniform Civil Code Bill in the Legislative Assembly on the 6th of February. The bill is revolutionary for all live-in relations. It is the first such legislation introduced in any Indian state since independence. The bill makes it obligatory for partners to a live-in relationship within a state, whether they are resident of Uttarakhand or not, to submit a statement of live-in relationship to the registrar within whose jurisdiction they are living. The registrar will then conduct a summary inquiry. In case of a minor, parental consent is required. A live-in relationship will not be registered in cases that are when one partner is married or in another relationship. There are varied punishments as well if a couple fails to register. For couples who have been in a live-in relationship for more than a month and have not submitted the statement, the punishment is imprisonment up to 3 months or a fine up to rupees 10,000 or both. For couples who make false statements or withhold information, it could land them in jail for 3 months, a fine of rupees 25,000 or both. Anyone who fails to register a live-in relationship will face a maximum of 6 months in jail, be fined rupees 25,000 or both. Even a delay in registration by as little as a month will trigger a jail term of up to 3 months, a fine of rupees 10,000 or both. That is not all. The registrar will have to be informed in case of termination of the relationship that can invite police investigation. Where the registrar feels reasons for the relationship ending are incorrect or suspicious, parents or guardians of those under 21 will also be informed. In cases of children born in live-in relationships, they will receive legal recognition as legitimate. The Uttarakhand UCC bill ensures that a woman deserted by her live-in partner can claim maintenance, but it does not specify what constitutes desertion.
As much as that it recognizes live-in relationship, it makes it mandatory for the live-in relationship to be registered, and as and when almost of the same status it has given to the live-in relationship. Like in marriage, you need to take a divorce for its termination. Over here also, you need to submit a statement of termination to the court to be duly registered. It does not affect any specific religion, and it will only help to bring in more integration.
The provisions of UCC, however, won't apply to tribal communities. The bill prohibits bigamy or marriages with more than one person. Uttarakhand UCC bill also seeks to ban Islamic practices like halala and iddat that a woman must go through after a divorce or the death of the husband. Uttarakhand is the first state in the country to introduce the bill that looks beyond the complex personal laws of India. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's raise the big questions then. The Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code, is this a blueprint for India? What Uttarakhand thinks today, will India think tomorrow? Is this an idea whose time has come? Should personal laws be reformed first across communities? Will the Uniform Civil Code impose a Hindu code as critics allege on all? These are some of the questions I will raise. Dushyant Dave, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, joins me. Nalin Kohli, Senior Additional Advocate General at Assam and member of the committee that drafted the law proposing banning polygamy in Assam. He's a Senior Supreme Court Advocate. Zakia Soman, women's rights activist who had raised the issue of triple talaq and spoken out against it. And Professor Dr. Faizan Mustafa, who we spoke to earlier, is Vice Chancellor, Chanakya National Law University. I appreciate all my guests joining us. To you, Dushyant Dave, first. Would I be right in saying that what Uttarakhand thinks tomorrow, India may well have thinks today, India may well have to think tomorrow? Is this an idea whose time has come? Or do you believe this is imposition of uniformity under the guise of equality, imposing uniformity?
There is no doubt that this is purely political. I mean, the fact that the Bharatiya Janata Party has chosen a state like Uttarakhand, with a population of just over 1 crore of people and a population of Muslims, which is just about 5 or 7 or 10%, is itself telltale of the fact that this is a blueprint that they are now preparing. They tried earlier, they failed because the Law Commission, which was appointed by the BJP government, Mr. Modi's government in 2018, had said very categorically that it is not practicable to have a uniform civil code and we should not do it, they said. The words used were that we should not do it.
Yeah, they said it's not desirable.
Yeah. So having failed, there, they are now trying to, bring it here. Perhaps we are, with the eye clearly on the ensuing elections, so that they can tell the electorate country-wise that, yes, we have started the process and therefore, this is something which we should really be doing.
But do you agree with the principle, Mr. Dave, the principle of a uniform civil code that you need to ensure that across the country, you're able to have uniform laws, particularly personal laws?
Well, it is an extremely difficult question to answer, Rajdeep. For thousands of years, we have been having separate laws for the Hindus and the Muslims, and even for the Christians. And these laws have worked to the satisfaction of many. There is no reason why at this stage these laws should really be tinkered with. Frankly, this is I think, as I jokingly tell my friends, that we have now come to a stage where we want to defeat Babur in retrospect. So we want to do everything possible. It started with the Ayodhya temple. We have now gone to Gyanvapi and Mathura. We are now doing civil code. All these measures are really intended to tell the Hindu majority that we are defeating the Muslims and we are defeating Babur in retrospect. It's not really in good taste. Mr. Modi doesn't need it because he is really the most popular leader. He is surviving.
Are you saying you see uniform civil code as being directed against Muslims? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. Because if you are going to keep the tribals out of it, what's the point of having? Are you going to amend the constitution, Article 25, which allows Sikhs to have a kirpan constitutionally? Are you going to touch that? So, it's all right for, them to say that we are bringing about integration. I think in the garb of integration, they are really dividing the society.
Interesting, therefore, Nalin Kohli, since you've been involved with some of the drafting, especially when it was banning polygamy in Assam, what I want to ask you heard Dushyant Dave. Interestingly, Uttarakhand has kept tribals out because that's politically sensitive. So you keep tribals out, but say it's a uniform civil code. And you do it within years of the Law Commission itself saying it's not practicable or desirable. Why do you believe the Uniform Civil Code is an idea whose time has come? And respond to Dushyant Dave's criticism that this is Muslim specific. You're sending out a message to Muslims while you keep tribals out of the UCC.
I heard Mr. Dave very carefully. And this will take a few minutes, Rajdeep. Perhaps I was expecting a little more legal inputs from Mr. Dave. It's mostly political, so let me start from the legal point of view. The Uniform Civil Code is part of the Constitution, albeit, even though it is part of the directive principles of state policy. Article 44 is not a creation of the BJP. It has been there in the Constitution when we adopted it on 26th January 1950. Let's also bear in mind, and your viewers should know, that Article 37 does say that the directive principles are not enforceable. However, it also casts a duty on the states that these principles should guide law formation, laws that are made. So, Uniform Civil Code is not beyond the constitutional vision. It is part of the Constitution and it's something that's been kept pending for over 75 years. So, something that is part of the Constitution, will it be kept pending for how long? 2. The Constitution is for Indian citizens, each one of us, including the Muslims, for whom Mr. Dave has batted in a sense. Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Parsis, Jews and us Hindus. All of us get our rights from the Constitution as Indian citizens first. There can't be an argument to say that an Indian citizen will be in any way prejudiced by the applicability of a certain article of the Constitution of India. In this case, Article 44 being Uniform Civil Code.
Sure, but the tribals are also citizens of India.
With due regard,
Mr. Kohli, tribals are also citizens of the country, but you keep tribals out because you know that's politically contentious. You know that the Muslims cannot respond, but the tribals will respond adversely. Hence, the tribals are kept out. That's why it's seen as political.
Or the Sikhs.
Or the Sikhs. Go ahead.
So therefore, my answer to that is, one minute. I not only reject what you are saying, and I certainly reject the hypothesis on which you are. Let me finish what I was saying further. Article 25, which Mr. Dave referred to, that also is not absolute. Enough judicial precedence to that, and it's also subject to public morality, etc., etc. Now let's come to, say, I'll pick up from the committee that I have been a member of. The Assam Chief Minister said, let's look whether we can ban polygamy in the state. Of course, that right exists with the state because it's on the concurrent list, marriage. So in that case, in Assam, what we've given has no exclusion. A state government, in any case, has a right to decide what it would like to do within its within its own territorial areas. In Assam, the draft law that we've given does not exclude any committee as such. However, It is for the legislature to decide thereafter whether it would like to exclude, whether it would like to include. That is part of the constitutional scheme. Who are you and me to take charge and say, because I have a personal view which is very strong, or I have a point of view which is contrary to what is being presented in an assembly or in the parliament, that view should prevail, even though the view which is in the assembly or the parliament follows the entire scheme. So I don't agree with that argument. Uttarakhand has chosen something. Let us see what happens. Assam, as another state, can choose something very different, can choose something similar, can modify what model is there in front of it. But certainly uniform civil code, as part of the constitutional vision, is not something that can be dunked into the dustbin and be said to be anti-Indian in any way.
Okay, Dushyant, the way you made the point that you fear that it will be directed against the Muslims. Let's be clear. What is wrong if you have gender-friendly laws? If there are elements in the personal laws of a particular community that work against women, we are in the 21st century. If you have gender-friendly laws, you should encourage them. Why not?
Absolutely, there is no doubt about that. But let me respond to what Nalin said. Yes, it is a constitutional vision, undoubtedly. But constitutional vision must be, in a constitutional sense. It cannot be brought about in a political sense. Constitutional vision under directive principles also speaks about removing untouchability, giving employment to all, bringing equality, economic equality in the country. All this, why are you not doing?
Bringing prohibition.
Yes, Now, why are you not doing all this? So, it is easy for you to say that I have picked up one constitutional vision and I want to do it because that's going to gain me votes from the Hindus. But what I am trying to say, and I am trying to appeal, I have great respect for my friend Nalin. I am not for a moment saying that state should not do what it is, attempting to do. Yes, you rightly said, Rajdeep, if there is a gender inequality, forget Hindus and Muslims amongst the Muslim women. As a nation, we are seeing that women are discriminated very openly in this country.
Yeah, but
why are we not bringing uniform gender status code? Why are we not bringing uniform social status code? Because the Dalits are kept in an extremely difficult situation, as every village will tell you.
Okay.
So these are political issues. All that I am saying is we do not need this. We need to unify. We don't need to divide this country. And certainly Prime Minister, who is so popular, who has so many other ideas and wants to implement. It saddens me that the BJP really wants to embark on this. With all my reservations, I still respect Prime Minister. I still regard him very highly. And I don't know why they need it.
Okay, why do you need it? Okay, let Nalin Kohli answer that, and then I'll come to you, Zakia Soman and Faizan Mustafa. But answer that. Why do you need it? What is the urgent need for it, according to you, Nalin Kohli?
Well, let me answer to everything, but I'll answer your question first, Rajdeep. Urgent need? 75 years, something has not happened and it's considered to be too, urgent to bring it after 75 years?
4 years ago, the Law Commission said it was not desirable. Mr. Kohli, 4 years ago, the same Law Commission, 21st Law Commission said it was not desirable. What's changed? No, sir, 1 minute. No, Mr. Kohli, what has changed? What has changed in the 5 years?
No, absolutely not. 1 minute, you can't. Excuse me. Sorry, Mr. Sardesai, you can't interject me after 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I have many things to say and I will say it.
My apologies.
And I will also answer your question, but you can't interject me and break my flow. Thank you. Accepted, let's move on. Yeah, sure, let's move on. So therefore, Rajdeep, coming back to this, 75 years not implemented, the urgency should have been there in 1951, 52, 53. Certainly in 55, when the Hindu Marriage Act came in, or the code, it was codified. What about the Christian community? They banned polygamy way back in 1872. The Parsis did it in 1936. We are in 2024 and we are still talking about gender issues. Mr. Dave says, I would be more important about unifying. Tell me, how is a Muslim woman better off having one husband shared with 3 wives? What gender equity are we talking about?
How many Muslims do you know? How many Muslims do you know?
Gender equity thing.
Nalin, who have
one by one. I will raise, Mr. Dave, I will raise this. I will give hard data. I will give hard data in a moment on that. But go ahead.
Come on.
Go ahead, Mr. Kohli, finish.
Come on. Okay, now, so that's the first point. Second, Mr. Dave makes an allegation that there is a whole approach to divide. Let's take the Honorable Prime Minister's speech just yesterday in the Parliament. It is an opposition party leader who says what is there for minorities, to which Prime Minister Modi responds. Minorities, how long will you keep dividing this country on the name of one community or another community? Tell me. Are women not including all communities? Are farmers not including all communities? Youth not including all communities? Why do you have to see it from the prism of Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi, Jew? Why don't we see it as an Indian citizen? And why don't we see the law applying equally for all?
I will ask you, sir, Mr. Kohli, I will ask you one last. Yes, go ahead.
And my last.
Yes.
Sure. Tell me.
I want to know once and for all, 2018, the Law Commission says, sir, the 2018, Mr. Kohli said, the Law Commission says it's neither desirable nor necessary. What has changed in 6 years? I want a short, straight answer to that.
A straight answer to that is the Law Commission has said other things that are desirable that have not been done. Ultimately, it's the will of the Parliament, or in this case, the state legislature. What has changed? They have decided, the state of Uttarakhand to start with has said, we would like to implement Article 44 of the Constitution. How can you say that Article 44 of the Constitution should be put into permanent comatose or deep freeze?
Okay, I've got your point. I just want to move to Zakia Soman and Faizan Mustafa, because one of the arguments, and we just heard it, is that Muslims have many more wives and therefore it is necessary to ban polygamy to ensure gender equality. Just to put the data now, because it's important for a fact check. The National Family Health Survey 5 data says only 1.9% of Muslim women said their husbands had more than one wife, compared to 1.3% of Hindu women who admitted to being in polygamous marriages in 2019 to 21. Remember, there are tribal communities where it is almost sanctioned to have more than one wife. So tribals have been kept out, but Zakia Soman, when I look at these figures, it's not as if there's a wide gap between Hindus and Muslims here. The truth of the matter, it's being used to suggest only Muslims have more than one wife. Do you believe in general all communities should look at these laws and see what is the best way to ensure gender-friendly, equal laws?
Definitely. Rajdeep, fundamentally, the Uniform Civil Code is about gender justice and gender equality. Now, it is up to the governments to make it a positive instrument, progressive instrument, or to do politics over it. Having said that, I will say that the bill being presented in the Uttarakhand Assembly is a positive development. At least we have a draft now on which we can reflect, on which we can respond, we can ask for amendments. So it's a positive development according to me. On the specific question of polygamy, you are right that there is not much difference between polygamy amongst Hindus and amongst Muslims. But the problem is that Muslims are allowed polygamy legally as per the Sharia in today's India. That is my problem.
And that should, go, right? And that should go,
That should go. That should go because it's not allowed by the Quran. The Quran does not permit polygamy unconditionally and as a free kind of a practice. There are so many conditions, and also Quran talks about the context. In today's context, polygamy is just not justifiable. Okay. So Muslim women are suffering from polygamy because in the absence of codified Muslim family laws. Who prevented us? What prevented us, the Muslims, from reforming our own personal laws in consonance with Quranic injunctions of gender justice as well as constitutional principles of equality? We could have done that. We could have done that even when the movement against triple talaq took place, but we don't do that. So what is the best bet? What is the best bet for Muslim women? Because the Muslim women also want rights like Hindu women, like Christian women in marriage and in family. So they should be given legal parity, and I feel that Uniform Civil Code may be the only option available to the Muslim women and to all women of India,
point.
Of course.
You made an excellent point about the need. If you don't want a Uniform Civil Code, then you should have reformed your own laws, personal laws within. Faizan Mustafa, Professor, to take you to that, the Uttarakhand UCC bill sparking strong reactions from political parties, religious organizations in Uttarakhand. The Muslim Service Organization issuing a statement opposing it. The Chief Imam of Uttarakhand criticizing the government for not involving legal experts from all religions. Is this a reflex action, the perception that only Muslim personal law is being targeted? Do you really fear that the Uniform Civil Code will be an imposition of a Hindu code on minority communities?
You see, as a constitutional law teacher, for decades I have been advocating Uniform Civil Code. I have been writing that we should bring in Uniform Civil Code in a piecemeal manner. when the Uttarakhand Chief Minister, on the last day of his campaign in the assembly elections, promised setting up of a committee, I welcomed this initiative and wrote in Indian Express. But the committee was not representative of all the laws. To that extent, I believe this was one of the major problems with the committee, that it did not have any expert of Muslim personal law. And I suppose that there were no experts of Christian law or the Parsi law either. Now, as someone who has been favoring uniform civil code in a piecemeal manner, and as someone who had welcomed the Uttarakhand Chief Minister's initiative of setting up of a committee, I feel good that finally a bill has been presented in the Assembly. It's a detailed bill. I looked at the provisions of bill, and they go in some 100 pages or maybe more. So it's a detailed law, but this law has some issues. For instance, we have a central law for the Christians. We have a central law on certain aspects of divorce, even for the Muslims. The 1939 law and then the 1986 law. And we also have full-fledged Hindu code bill for the Hindus. And the constitution is absolutely clear. If there is a conflict between a state law and a central law, then the central law will prevail. To call a state law a uniform civil code may be fine, but technically the real uniform civil code will be one which the Indian Parliament will enact. I think Uttarakhand initiative may help Parliament in framing a uniform civil code for the whole country. Because if in different states you have different uniform civil codes, then they are not uniform. In any case, Article 44 of the Constitution had said that the state shall endeavor to have a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. The Uttarakhand law will not be applicable even in Uttar Pradesh. And therefore, this is not a uniform civil code for the whole country. This is a uniform civil code only for people of Uttarakhand on aspects on which there is no central law. But for the Hindu code bill, a substantive field is already occupied by the central law.
I know that's a very interesting distinction, of course, that you draw. I just want to tell our viewers that one of my home states, Goa, borrowing from the Portuguese, has a common civil code. And I just want to turn to that before I go back to my guest. Marriage under this is a contract between man and woman. Polygamy is banned except in special cases for Hindus. All marriages must be registered in court. Communion of assets. Both husband and wife share the ownership. And this is an important one. Husband and wife share the ownership in Goa. Separation of assets. Spouse has no right on the other's assets. And a prenuptial agreement is allowed. Divorce with mutual consent only from the court. Now, it's worked pretty interestingly in a relatively mixed community with a large minority Christian population. May I therefore say, Mr. Dave, provocatively, some would say that if it's worked in Goa, why can't it work in the rest of the country? That if it can work harmoniously there are aspects to the Goan law also which can be questioned. But the truth of the matter is it's worked reasonably well. So why not at least give it a try? Why not at least see whether it can work on the ground to ensuring more gender-friendly equal laws?
There is no doubt that there are many aspects of these provisions which are required to be, really done in the long run. There is nobody can deny that. Nobody can dispute the position that the status of women needs to be improved in every community. Why only in Muslims? I mean, even after the Hindu law has been amended, giving daughters equal right, not even 1% of the daughters are getting equal rights. I mean, I know of cases every day coming to court. I know of families after families where nothing is being done by the daughters. So, all these things require an extremely, detailed social discussion. These are not political matters per se. These are matters where society at large should be brought into existence, in consultative process, and society must take these decisions. So if the Muslim community, as the ma'am here says, deserves to really do it, it should be taken into confidence. And across the country, there should be a debate amongst the Muslim women, some kind of a referendum.
But how long? No, but for how long? Dushyant Dave, the strongest point in a way, Nalin Kohli will say, look, that how long is this debate going to carry on? What kind of consultation will take place?
After how many years you gave your daughters equal right in Hindu law? These are all political statements. Look at untouchability. Today, the situation, even after removing untouchability under the constitution, it remains, untouchability is severely prevalent in the country. Nothing is being done by the executive.
But you still need law. We have laws in place which declare any practice of untouchability as a crime. Yeah. We do have the laws.
I agree. Laws are there. And this will be also a law. But the laws are not being properly implemented. What's the point of bringing a law which is going to create? I am not for a moment here defending the Muslim community. No. I am saying that you do not take these kind of actions politically on the eve of election, particularly when your own election law commission presided by a former Supreme Court judge appointed by Mr. Modi himself said it is not desirable.
Okay.
So why do you suddenly do it?
So you see it as your worry is you see it as a political weapon in a way being used to garner votes.
I am saying then, repeal Hindu Succession Act, repeal all Hindu laws, and bring about a uniform civil code across the country if you have the courage to do it.
Okay.
And apply it across the board to everybody, including the Hindus, the Muslims, and the tribals.
Okay, the Indian Succession Act
is do that.
Okay.
This bill is really sending a message, as I feel, and it's what we are seeing today. You have to take it in the larger perspective. We are seeing it today. We have seen what is happening, how now after Ayodhya, which was a great victory, which was Supreme Court rightly gave to the Hindu community, which had been clamoring for a long time. You are now going to Gyanvapi, you are going to Mathura in the face of the 1991 Act. And the courts have put the act completely in waste paper basket, including the Supreme Court, which upheld that law, saying that this is larger public interest. So I think I think the timing is wrong. I think the approach is wrong. We should take the Muslim community into confidence.
Okay. Can I though look at one aspect, Nalin Kohli, which in the Uttarakhand law, which has led to quite considerable comment, details of live-in relationships. If you are in a live-in relationship under this code, you will have to go to the local police station, register. Non-registration of a live-in relationship will be punishable by a jail term. Now, all of this to me sounds draconian and, dare I say, moral policing. So there are aspects of this law which are deeply troubling. This is hardly gender-friendly. If a woman wants, it's her free choice. Why should she register with a police station? Now, should this all be looked at or not?
So, Rajdeep, I'll make 3 comments. I'll answer your question first. I'd like to go back to what Professor Saab said. There is an important aspect there that we dealt with in the Assam law that we were drafting. And then I'll respond to Mr. Dave. First, to answer on that, look, this is a proposal. It's a bill. It's an act which is gone in. Let us see what the legislature, a bill which is being proposed, let us see what the legislature does. And eventually, as anything else, and as lawyers we all understand, that it could be open to judicial review. It would be. If someone feels aggrieved, they may also challenge a provision. It may also be open to, a set of rules that may come thereafter to frame the applicability of something. But I think, as I heard in your program, the intent seemed to be beneficial, not about draconian. It was about in terms of ensuring rights flow. So let us see what comes out of it. That's one part. So let's not jump the gun and immediately say that this is meant with a negative intent. It could also be a case where the drafting can undergo change. I mean, that happens. The second is to what Professor Saab was saying, when he had raised about the point that uniform civil code in Uttarakhand would be applicable to Uttarakhand, the country. He's correct. Because obviously, we understand that any law passed by Parliament is going to have applicability for the whole country, and the law passed on the same subject by the state will be repugnant to that extent. So we grappled with this issue when we were proposing and drafting, and the first report of the committee was essentially whether Assam could bring in a law to prohibit polygamy within the state of Assam because there is a 1937 Sharia Act that permits polygamy. So the constitution itself provides the way out, which is the doctrine of repugnancy under Article 254, which clearly says that if a subject is there, in this case marriage, which is on the concurrent list, if marriage is there, the state goes ahead and wants to pass a law for its territory to prevent, say, polygamy, which is permitted by a central law, in this case the Sharia Act, then it can be done provided there is consideration and assent by the President of India. And there are two major, constitutional bench judgments on this issue, that the decision of the President cannot be brought into review, but on what basis that decision was taken, that can certainly be reviewed. So that has been provided for, so it can be done. So therefore, I think Zakia ji makes an important point that we have a draft here, which may be, as Goa has a separate uniform civil code, Uttarakhand may have a separate one, Assam may have another one, Gujarat may have another one, and perhaps the country may have a common one. We have to see how this plays out. Now the last comment on Mr. Dave. I think Mr. Dave, we know him, and he has his right, as do I, you, anyone else, to have a point of view, even if it's strong, about the BJP, its intent, and what our government is doing, a political intent, etc. But I don't agree with that point of view. Because I think Mr. Dave talks about a conversation.
So you're saying it's being, you claim there is no political intent.
Its manifesto said they will bring uniform civil code. So how does he say that
a political party runs, Mr. Dave.
It is political.
I heard you.
Your manifesto
Mr.
said
Dave,
so.
I heard you very patiently.
Yes.
Come on, sir. I heard you very patiently.
Yes.
That's your point of view. I'm also entitled to my point of view. We both can have a differing point of view. We don't need to agree. We can agree to disagree.
Okay.
So therefore, let me come back to the question you were saying.
What I ask you, Nalin Kohli, I want a short answer.
Let me come.
No, just to respond. Mr. Dave says there's a political intent. What is according to you the intent?
Why should a political party not have a political agenda?
Yeah, so what is your intent? I am asking what if it's not.
Intent.
What is the
I'm
intent?
going back to what I first said.
Which is? What is your intent?
Therefore, Rajdeep, first, political parties, one minute, hear me out. Political parties are by nature going to have a political agenda. I want to meet which political party that you will put in front of me to say it doesn't have a political agenda. We declared as the BJP that uniform civil code is something that we would like to see implemented in the country. We didn't declare it before this election. We declared it in the 1980s, as we declared for a construction of a Ram temple or through negotiated
What is the objective?
As we declared the abrogation of Article 370.
What is the objective?
The objective is implement uniform civil code, which is a constitutional vision. Which is a constitutional vision in Article 44.
And
if
what's
after
the benefit?
75 years
What's
also
the
you
benefit?
feel we need
If you
more
keep-
time for a dialogue,
What's
then
the
there are some
benefit?
people who would go back to the Hindu rate of it used to be called the Hindu rate of growth. Then some people would say we were very happy with a 1% growth. I'm sorry, India is impatient, it wants change. India wants to see progress, and if we have to in 2047 be a developed nation or become the third largest economy by 2027, we can't have a dialogue for the next 75 years on economic issues. We need to do things, some things work, some things will be modified, some things may not work. That's how it is.
I take your point, Zakia Shoban. I must give you the final word. Do you see all of this as progress? When the triple talaq legislation was brought in, or now Uttarakhand, do you see this as progress, or do you fear all of this will get caught in political battles and therefore the average Muslim woman is not really going to benefit?
So we need both the things to go together. We need gender just laws. We also need social reform. We need to, have more education, more awareness, especially about the mindsets and attitudes towards women. And I appreciate a lot of the things that Mr. Dave has also said. We can definitely afford to have a less polarized polity. We can definitely try to have a more inclusive society. We can definitely have less social division, politics of hate. All that is marring the whatever possibilities that may be there of progress and of gender justice. So we need to look at it comprehensively, because minorities are also as much citizens of India as anybody else. So it's not just about the women, because minority women are very much part of the family and the community. So we need an inclusive society. We need a less polarized society. Then it can all fall together, because the progress cannot happen in compartments. It has to be a comprehensive whole.
I think that's a good point on which to end, because I think what we need is a debate shorn of of finger pointing or shorn of the noise that takes place around the Uniform Civil Code. It was part of the directive principles. Over time, though, it's got caught in political tangles. Can it be really removed from the politics is the big question, and thereby ensure true gender-friendly laws across communities, not just Muslims, across communities, including tribals, who've interestingly been left out of this law. I appreciate all my guests joining me here on this very fascinating debate on the Uniform Civil Code. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's turn from there to our ground report, which comes from Harda in Madhya Pradesh, where a massive fire in a firecracker factory has left 11 people dead, over 100 injured. The owners of the factory are missing. Our ground report from the site of the explosion that flattened an entire area around a factory.
A firecracker factory in Harda goes up in flames, triggering a series of explosions on Tuesday morning. People run for cover as the blasts continued one after the other. Many are killed, over 100 injured. India Today team is among the first to reach the blast site.
देखिए अभी भी छिटपुट धमाके जो हैं वो इस मलबे में हो रहे हैं। हम आपको तस्वीरों में दिखाते हैं उस जगह की तस्वीरें। देखिए ये धमाके हो रहे हैं। अभी भी यहाँ पे जो है अंदर बारूद मौजूद है, इसलिए यहाँ पे रह करके जो धमाके हो रहे हैं इसकी वजह से आग जो है अभी तक पूरी बुझ नहीं पाई है।
2-2, 4-4, 5-5 किलोमीटर लोगों के घरों के शीशे फूट जाना, किसी के दरवाजे खुल जाना, कई लोगों के घरों की छत फूट जाना, दरार आ जाना, यानी बहुत सारा यानी नुकसान तो हुआ है।
The continuous explosions meant rescue workers had to tread with caution. Bodies were being fished out hours after the first blast.
रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन अभी जारी है। आसपास के जिलों से हमने एम्बुलेंस, डॉक्टर्स की टीम और स्टेट डिजास्टर रिस्पांस टीम और एनडीआरएफ की टीम को भी बुलाया है और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन पूरे जिला प्रशासन की ओर से जारी है। अभी 20-25 लोगों को हमने एडमिट किया है और कुछ लोग क्रिटिकल भी हैं।
The impact was such that the whole area was flattened. Many houses gutted. Many of them were storing gunpowder in violation of norms.
हमारा घर पूरा टूट गया और मेरी नंद बाहर निकली थी, जा रही थी यहाँ से भागते हुए, उसको भी चोट आई तो वो खत्म हो गई, कुछ भी नहीं बचा हमारा।
Madhya Pradesh CM Mohan Yadav chaired an emergency meeting. The administration formed a green corridor between Harda and Bhopal to facilitate swift movement of the injured to hospitals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced 2 lakh rupees in relief to families of the dead. This is not the first time an accident has struck the factory in Harda. 3 workers had died in an explosion here roughly 3 years ago. The unit was then sealed and the matter is still pending in courts. Factory owners Rajesh Agarwal and Somesh Agarwal had obviously continued work at the factory. The government has now formed a committee to investigate the fire. With Ravish Pal Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Troubling scenes there from Harda. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring you our Good News Today story. It's a story of creative reporting by 2 6-year-old girls as Jammu and Kashmir receives delayed snowfall. Their story on the other side. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
जैसे
हाँ
बर्फ
हमें यहाँ बहुत मजा आ रहा है। एक बात बताओ आपको कि
Pure Wash Electronic Seat by Kohler. Wish everything was this intelligent.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news.
politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Sveda by Cola. Wish everything cared for your skin.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Colors by Cola. Makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code. Pure Wash Electronic Seat.
News today's story, and it's a story that has a lovely innocent touch to it. A video has gone viral on social media on what is being called creative reporting about the snowfall. The feature of it are two little Kashmiri girls, Zainab and Zeba, describing a fresh spell of snowfall in South Kashmir's Anantnag and their adorable invitation to tourists to visit Kashmir. As I leave you tonight, that is my good news story. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
White and pristine. Unexpected snowfall in Kashmir has brought cheer and relief after an unprecedented dry spell. This year, locals and tourists are indulging in fun activities.
मुझे तो जैसे लग रहा है मैं जन्नत के बीचों बीच बैठी हूँ और मेरे बीचों बीच ये दूध की लहरें हैं, लेकिन ये दूध की लहरें नहीं बर्फ है। हमें तो आज बहुत मजा आ रहा है।
This video has gone viral on social media, where 6-year-old twin Kashmiri sisters present a creative report announcing the arrival of snowfall in South Kashmir's Anantnag. Video of Zainab and Zaiba was also shared by chairman of the Mahindra Group, Anand Mahindra, and received widespread appreciation for their brilliant creative description.
मैं इस दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा देखा बना रही हूँ। आप सोच रहे होंगे मुझे भी ऐसी बर्फ चाहिए।
कैसा लग रहा है आज बर्फ में?
बहुत मजा आ रहा है।
सर्दी नहीं लगी?
सर्दी तो लगती है लेकिन एंजॉय तो करना है ना।
The girls studying in nursery standard reacted on their viral video and also invited tourists to the Kashmir Valley.
हमने तो ऐसा ही छोटा मोटा एक वीडियो बनाया था, हमें नहीं पता था ये इतना ज़्यादा वायरल हो जाएगा। जो हमारे YouTube चैनल, Instagram और Facebook पेज देखते हैं, फॉलो करते हैं, उनको हम अपने प्यारे प्यारे छोटे मोटे कश्मीर में इनवाइट करेंगे। हमारे कश्मीर की इस प्यारी प्यारी बर्फ से एंजॉय करें।
This adorable overload has added to the happiness with snowfall in Kashmir. Bureau Report, India Today.
मेरी कमर।
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Sveda by Cola. Wish everything cared for your skin.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
If they are not reaching 370, you will not take oath. Can he promise that? These kind of election speeches he can make in parliament. But people of India are decided that people of India have the right. In 2004 also, India shining was like this only. And the people of India knows that this kind of arrogance will be defeated.
मोदी जी के प्रति अटूट विश्वास है। अगर आप देखें 10 साल यूपीए सरकार, तो उस समय लोग विवादों में घिरे थे। मोदी जी का 10 साल एनडीए का उम्मीदों में रहा, विश्वास में रहा, मोदी के प्रति अटूट विश्वास रहा कि मोदी है तो मुमकिन है। आखिर रहे क्यों नहीं? आज मोदी जी देश में सर्वाधिक विकास करने वाले पुरुष हैं भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में।